Okay. Hello and welcome to my first video on this channel. I appreciate that you clicked on me and that you may be interested in my life as schizophrenic. My correct diagnosis is a schizoaffective disorder with mixed symptoms, which is the mixed symptoms are depression and borderline. And yeah, and I am Lilith, and yeah, this is my video. And I have to give a quick disclaimer. I'm not a native English speaker, so if there are some mistakes, I'm very sorry for that, but I'm still learning the language. The second one is I am not a professional nor a psychologist, so that is said. And the third one is if you have a problem with the mentioning of suicidal thoughts or self-harm, then please watch something else. I will be only mentioning these. I will not go into details, so that's that. So before we go directly into my hallucinations and how it really started as a schizophrenic, we have to start a bit more early, and that will be in my childhood. So in my childhood, there was always something wrong. I was always a bit of a weird behavior I had, and how do I say it? I was always bullied right from the start because I cried a lot. I was always a crybaby, so I cried a lot, and I was also very thin. I was not having any eating disorder or something was wrong with my body. It was just something that my brother and sister had, and also my parents had, that they were very thin throughout the first 25 years, for some even more. And yeah, and I was bullied for that because people didn't like it that I was so thin. Okay, getting messages. So the first 4 years of my school were very problematic. There were some good stuff, but mostly bad stuff happening around me and other people. And so fast forward to the 5th class, where I was always how do you say, skip class or try to skip class because I had stomach aches, and my mother brought me into the hospital. Well, moreover, my doctor brought me into the hospital, and they checked me, my stomach, maybe potential allergic something, which wasn't the case. So they ended up saying that I was physically healthy and said we should consult a psychologist, which we did very, very soon. And after a year at a psychologist, which did a cognitive behavioral therapy with me, she said it was worse than she could handle. So we searched for another psychologist, and all that was while I was still being bullied in school. I was punched, I was picked on, I was pushed, I was called names. I was just someone they could all pick a fight with, and I wasn't really defending myself. I would rather cry and try to minimize that they took notice that I exist. Also was blamed for stuff that I didn't obviously do, but still got blamed for it. And that never changed throughout the 10 years of school that I went to. And after I finished school, I was a bit more happier, but not very long, because I started a voluntary social year, and my superiors were very much picking on the patients, which was also very, very bad. And then something really, really broke in me, so I went to a clinic, the first one for teenagers and children, well, children and teenagers. And I was there for 4 months. They figured out that I didn't have a normal or a light depression, but more a heavy depression, a severe depression. So they started medicating me, but there was always problem with the staff that worked there. Not really with the other patients, we really stick together, but the staff that would take care of us was very much into, you have some problems between each other, and try to separate us, which didn't obviously work. But it got so bad that I eventually called my parents and said I want to go home after 4 months. I probably would have been longer there, but yeah. After that, I started an apprenticeship as a design technology assistant, which went not completely bad, but also not completely good. My grades were okay. And I finished that school after 2 years. It was only 2 years. And after that, I did my diploma in design, which went really well. My grades were great, but the biggest problem was my health. I had started to get migraines, which I went into the hospital. During that year I did my diploma, I had inflammation of my stomach, intestines, and I had a kidney stone, which was all in 1 year. So I went to hospital in 1 year 3 times. And I also got a new psychologist by then, who did help me in the beginning, but not in the end. It was really, really bad. So I stopped going there and completely ditched the therapy. And then I had a year off because I didn't know what to do, and work didn't work out. So I applied to a lot of jobs, but it never worked out. And then I started to go to the academy. The academy is not that kind of academy where you go to and learn something. It was a project of the government for people with disabilities. Be mentally or physically disabilities, you would be put there, and they try to get you into work with different stuff. I did a lot of internships, and then it happened. This is where the point where it all happened, because I started to hear sirens, like from a fire truck or an ambulance, and that was very weird. It happened very often, and I talked to my superiors about that because they there to help us, so it was not something unusual to talk about. And I did talk with my psychiatrist. I had a very good psychiatrist. I still have him as my psychiatrist, and he suggested that I should go into the clinic again. So in 2019, by then, I was going into the clinic at the same clinic ground like I did when I was a child, a teenager, but it was for the adults, and it was a lot better because the people were very fun. You could go outside whenever you want, and the only problem was that they didn't take my hallucinations seriously, so they didn't help me with that. I got out very well, a lot stronger, a lot better, and after a year still in the academy, I was about to go into an apprenticeship again as an occupational therapist, but they wanted me to go again into the clinic, so I applied, but was kicked out for some reason 3 days later. Then I had a huge fight with my friend, and she terrorized me so much that I thought about suicide. And it wasn't the first time. When I was 14, I had already wanted to do end my life, and I was self-harming, and it didn't got better by then. It was really, really worse, and I started to go into another clinic, which only did for 3 days, because they only put me on very strong medication and did absolutely nothing. I didn't got along with the people I was in a room with, and so I got out 3 days later. I then started my occupational therapist apprenticeship, and I was good for 1.5 years, but then the voices came. The voices that were telling me that I'm a failure, that I don't deserve to live. I had a friend that died half a year earlier, and my voices were always picking on me, like saying, you don't deserve to live, she deserves to live, because you are completely useless. And these voices would stagger up and completely crush me. I had throughout the years some hallucinations about spiders crawling on my hand, and I saw people. I always can't remember what people looked like with a facial features. It was always blurry to me, so when I was walking around I always saw people with blurry faces, and I had a very problem with that. Also, I stepped out of reality, so I was often thinking I was asleep, not real life, and that all staggered up until the point I couldn't do my internship for the occupational therapist apprenticeship, so I had to quit, which broke me even more down because I really wanted to do that apprenticeship. And I was going into self-harm again, and I was going with the suicidal thoughts because my voices told me to kill myself. And yeah, so I was sent to a hospital, a clinic again, another one, which I couldn't bear 24 hours, and I then left again because I was so nervous and my heart was racing and I was feeling very uncomfortable. So they released me against their propositions. So they didn't want me to leave. I wanted to leave, so I left and tried again into the internship. Only made it 2 days and then left again because it wasn't going better. It was getting all worse. I then applied to the clinic I was 2 times in, the one for the adults, where they said it would take 6 months, which crushed me down again, made me suicidal, made me self-harm, and my voices would go absolutely crazy. I tried to maintain myself somehow, and after 2.5 months they called me and said I could come, but it would be tomorrow. So I packed all my stuff very quickly and went there, and it was a lot better because I had my own room. I could always get and do the stuff I wanted to do next to the therapies that I had. The psychologist that was attending me took me finally serious and helped me sort of to understand my voices, how they work and how they're not real. And she really did a great job, and I went out there very much better, very relieved. 1 month later I got to a day clinic, so you would only go by day from 8 to 16 o'clock, and they also took me serious and helped me a lot. I went there for 15 weeks, so in the meantime I had corona, but that is not the point, and I started again, so I had the 15 weeks, and they helped me also very much. And when it was almost Christmas, it was all going good, I guess. The voices were still there. I got a lot of different medications throughout the years, and I was still with my psychiatrist, who helped me a lot to try out new medications that would hopefully work. Some did work for a while, some did absolutely not work, would me make more nervous, but we tried them all out. And it was summer of 2023 by then, and I tried to get into the day clinic again, which didn't work out because I was going to do an apprenticeship again, which was kind of a mistake because I wasn't able to do it. I was 2 days in, and broke down again. I had stomach issues. I had really, really bad back pain. I think I struck a nerve or something. I'm not sure to this day because it wasn't really looked into what caused it, what was it. And I was puking and my voices came in again and everything was absolutely the worst. So stopped that apprenticeship 2 days later, and that's where I am right now. So I did get a new medication that you would only get that medication if you have tried out 3 to 4 different ones for schizophrenia. I had to sign a paper that I take this serious and I take the appointment serious. I had to go once a week to the psychiatrist, get my blood drawn, checked if my white blood cells are okay, because the medication, the clozapine, could potentially make your white blood cells go down and you would get very easily infected by then, which luckily didn't happen to me. They're still looking into some sort of things of health issues that I have, but yeah, that's where I'm standing right now. I still have a bit of voices, but they are very blurry, very weird. They're not that often anymore, but the hallucinations of seeing things are actually gone. I hadn't one in a very, very long while, but sometimes I'm not really sure if I see something or if I don't see something, because I can't differentiate between them. Also, the kind of getting out of reality is still there, but we're still not finished with the medication, so we still want to go up. I take 125 milligrams by now, but we want to go to 150, but we're doing this a bit slower because I'm not feeling really well currently, so we take this very slow. And yeah, that's where I stand today. So if you have any questions about my illness, about mental health, about something else, then leave them in the comments, and I want to maybe talk next video about the clinics a bit more, how they are in Germany, how the day is. So if you have questions for that, please leave them in the comments below. And I thank you very, very much for watching this to the end and get to know me a bit better. This is kind of a project because I can't write a diary or something. I tried it very, very, very much, but it never worked out for me. So this is kind of a test for me, and yeah, give this out to the world, because I think we still do not talk enough about mental health, and we do need to talk more about it openly, so people who have problems can seek out help without getting the fear of being a disgrace or something. So yeah, I hope you have a good day, a good week. I hope you're doing a lot better. If you don't, please seek help, and we see us in the next video.